What do you think is next, both for Mr. Bannon and for the Trump administration?
Well, I think Mr. Bannon follows a precedent that one has to go way back to the end of World War II, when Harry Truman fired his left-wing Secretary of Commerce, Henry Wallace, for his pro-Soviet statements, and Wallace in turn became editor of the New Republic, helping it become an even more influential left-of-center mouthpiece, just because of his position. Steve Bannon will do the same with his former publication, Breitbart, as the voice of populist nationalist conservatism, and I think you will see him support the president when he reflects those views and go after individuals around him that he suspects are not marching in line. His current target is his old sparring partner, National Security Advisor, General H.R. McMaster. This is just the beginning.
And it's only the beginning of the apparent list of people. And I'm not suggesting for a second that Steve Bannon has any type of enemies list, but in terms of those with whom he dealt and interacted on the White House staff, in addition to General McMaster, John Gizzi, there is a lot of speculation, indeed, the latest coming from Vanity Fair and indeed from Breitbart.com. Breitbart.com with the article that it was Ivanka Trump who may have engineered the Bannon ouster, and of course Jared Kushner, her husband. A lot of churn and a lot of disagreement between Steve Bannon and Jared Kushner.
Well, let's also put a postscript on that, JD. The new chief of staff, General John Kelly, who wanted Bannon out from the start and clearly had already executed a neat departure by Counselor Bannon. And then it grew ugly, of course, with the interview in which he contradicted the president's policies on North Korea and China. I would say that General Kelly will be under occasional fire from Breitbart.
Well, General Kelly, of course, brought in, really apart from personalities, to deal with process, to have a strong chief of staff and an orderly process for the interaction of assistants with the President of the United States. And again, the question becomes, does that really extend to family? But Mr. Bannon has left the White House. In addition to the interview he gave to the American Prospect before departing, once he departed, he apparently spoke to the Weekly Standard, and I'm paraphrasing his terminology. He said, the Trump presidency as we knew it is over. Do you believe we will see, by and large, a departure from the populism that Steve Bannon championed and that certainly this president utilized to win in such a stirring, upset fashion key states such as Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania in the 2016 election?
Let me quote someone who considers himself the patron saint of the modern populist, nationalist, conservative movement, Pat Buchanan. Buchanan, columnist and aide to 3 presidents, said that with Bannon gone, it is now up to Trump himself to continue the more nationalist and populist movement. If you say that policy simply depends on personnel, then you denigrate Trump and the degree of his beliefs. I tend to agree with Buchanan. We will see if that America First policy in trade and foreign policy continues, but that will be largely up to the man who gives the orders, and that's the man in the Oval Office, Donald Trump.